Alright, CCNA2, Chapter 2 PT. Probably the easiest, only used for review. Hopefully everything matches up because you're not, from what they say, you don't touch the router. So I just put in IP addresses that would work for this network. Put the first address, usable address on each network. And so we have on this side, we have the 10.10.10.0/24 network, and over here we have the 192.168.2.0/24 network. So yeah, we're just gonna go straight into it, and as always, I'm gonna go right into the IP address table. This one's not very big. We're going to go to desktop, 192.168.2.10 over here, subnet mask 255. As I said, I used the first usable address on each network, so 192.168.2.1 is our default gateway. Remember, our default gateway is our way out, and that's since it's a point-to-point network anyways. Hopefully you can figure that out. So now I'm going to go into this PC, do a similar action. Let's see, it's 10.10.10.10. We need to change it because it gives us a class A subnet mask. We need to put it to the /24 that they're giving us in the chart. And once again, I used the first usable address, so 10.10.10.1. I don't know that this is the same on the web. You want to check it out. Okay, so we have that. It says we have been given the task to configure a new switch. I'm going to just start off by doing the SVI while I have this chart right here. So I do an enable, configure terminal, and then I say interface VLAN 1, and I say IP address, and they want 10.10.10.100.255.255.255.0, and that one's set. I'm going to go no shutdown. And then I'm going to just put in a default gateway for giggles. So the only reason I need a default gateway is the only reason we put that IP address in. Remember, that's a SVI. It's only for telnet or SSH management. And so if we are managing from this side of the computer or from a different network, we need a default gateway and a switch. That's the only thing a default gateway is used for in a switch, but it will not. Default gateway, not gateway. IP default gateway. Our default gateway is going to be the same as the computer's, 10.10.1. Alright, so now let's get into what it's actually asking us. Configure SWA with the following settings. Configure the switch hostname. Alright, so if you remember hostname, SWA. Okay, that's done. Configure the banner message of the day. So this is what we're going to see when we telnet or SSH in or console in. It says banner, MOTD, we do a hashtag, and we say authorized access only, or we say some maintenance, something like that. So that's our banner message. They configure a password and secure access to the device. Configure a password to secure access to the device. Create an MD5 encrypted password to privilege access. Okay, so it wants us to go into our lines. Line con 0. Hopefully you remember that. Password. Console 1. That's going to password that. And we're going to go into. We're going to say login as well. And then we're going to say line VTY. And on a switch, it's a little different than router. If we do a do show run, this shows a running configuration. VTY is 0 through 15 by default, so we're just going to put 16 different people, let them allowed in there. So 0 through 15, line VTY 0 through 15, and we say password, and this one's going to be SSH1, and then we're going to say login. Actually, we're going to say login local because SSH we need a username. So we will be creating a username. Now we're going to do the next one says create an MD5 encrypted password. That's enable secret. Encrypts it by, we're going to use that one as password 01. So that's what we use to get into privileged exec mode. Encrypt all clear text passwords. So if we do show run again, remember our lines are in clear text by default. And so we're going to say service password encryption. Do another do show run, and look at that. They're just a number hashing rather than clear text password. Address, the default management interfaces using the values shown in the addressing table. Okay, we did that. The switch should be reachable over the network from both STA1 and STA2. So that's where they're saying we want you to do SSH, and we want you to do it from both. So that's why we put in that IP default gateway like we did. Because if we just put this in, this computer definitely could get there. But if we put without that, the other computer cannot get there. Oh, and if we look at our show run, we see that we have an interface shut down. So let's make sure we get that back up. That's why we have red. I'm sure that is just a trick they put in there. And so we say no shutdown. Look at that. It's going to go up. If you try to any other cable in there, it probably wouldn't work. But if you put in a different port, it would have worked fine. Okay, so now we want to set up SSH. So we've already named the device. That's our first requirement. Our next one is we need to have a domain. And if we look, our IP domain name that they are asking for is they say use cisco.com. So that's what we're going to use. Use a RSA key pair of 1024. So we say crypto key generate RSA, and we say 1024. Nope. We say that after that crypto key generate RSA, and then it asks the size, and we say 1024. We're going to set the version to SSH version 2. That's why we had to use a 1024, not something smaller. IP SSH version 2 is what we're going to type. Now it's set at version 2, and we're going to create a username to then use that. We already put into the line v2i as login local, so now we need to create a username locally for that. So we say username, and they are asking us to say admin, and then we are going to use an encrypted password. So we're going to use secret again, username, admin, secret, and then we're just going to say CCNA, and then it says only allow the lines. So we're going to go back into 0 through 15. We're going to say only allow the V2Is to accept SSH. So they would accept anything right now. So we say transport input SSH. Now they will no longer accept telnet. They'll only accept SSH. Require the user created above to display the username and password in order to log into the SSH. Alright, so we could either test this from this device, but we're just going to go, first I'm going to save it, copy, run, start. Oops, copy, run, start. Or we could do WR for write run. But I'm going to go to my command prompt now. And so with SSH, we say SSH-L. And we could also use PuTTY, and then we wouldn't have to put this stuff in. But anyways, one of the PuTTY tabs is SSH. SSH-L, the username, which is admin, and then where we're going. So we're going to 10.10.10.100, the SVI of the switch. And it says open, and so now we should use CCNA, and we are in the switch, so we can say enable. Notice you see the message of the day. Now we said enable, and we can say password 01 is what we set there, and look at that, we're in, and we can go into configure terminal, or we can do show commands, show run. So that is, configure the port security feature. Does it? What? Oh, we have way more to do. Oops. Okay, so we're just going to do it from command prompt now. Actually, I don't know if you guys can see that as well. So I am going to go back in. So we want port security. This will only be on access. Disable all unused access ports. Configure all unused switch ports as access ports. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, conft interface range, and we have this is 24 port switch, so F0 1 2 dash 2, we're going to do 24. Make sure you do we probably need to do the G0, we're not using either. Actually, we could do all of these. Yeah, we'll do all of them. And so we say switch port, mode, access. Okay, and then we're going to go back to this range, and it says, what does it say? Disable all unused switch ports. Configure all as access ports. So we're going to disable the unused ones. So we're only using F0 and I think G01. So we're going to do shut down on all of those. So we shut all of those down. Enable port security on the switch connected to STA1. That's interface F01, so we're going to go to interface F01. We say switch port security. So we turn port security on, only allow 2 hosts to the access port, so we say switch port security maximum 2. Enable port security, okay, configure the switch to the MAC addresses of any hosts that have the active switch port are recorded in the configuration file. That one is switch port security sticky, MAC address sticky. Otherwise we'd have to type in the MAC address, so that's going to save that. Configure this, ensure the port violations disable the port, so we're going to say switch port security violations shut down. And that should be that actually. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.